Welcome to Muffin Talk.
Kia ora and welcome to Muffin Talk. Brother Kieran, a very warm welcome.
Kia ora mea.
Brother Kieran, a great deal of attention has to be paid to the fulfillment of Scripture. Why is this important?
Problem that was faced by the early Christians. How could this person that you claim to be the Messiah possibly have died such a dreadful death? In the book of Deuteronomy, you have that dreadful line, "Cursed be the one who hangs on a tree." And when you're up against that, you have to go to the scriptures to find that the death of Jesus is really part of the fulfillment of the scriptures. And I think Vatican II had a great line when it said that the gospel writer handed on the truths of what Jesus had done in light of the fuller understanding that they gained. And that fuller understanding is expressed through the Old Testament. And, often in our Bibles, we have little footnotes that refer to a particular verse having a background in Scripture. And we need to go back to look at those references in order to go forward. And the Psalms, the lament Psalms that begin with such a tragic way, expressing pain and suffering, and the most of them will end with a note of reconciliation, acceptance, and trust in God. And for the Psalms, Psalm 22, my God, why have you forsaken me? The cry of Jesus from the cross, Psalm 22. All who see me mock me. They stare at me and they gloat, and they divide my garments among themselves, and for my clothing they cast lots. Psalm 22. And the other great Psalm, Psalm 69, is where they gave me poison for food, and in my thirst they gave me vinegar to drink. So Psalms are critical. And then, of course, the great part of Second Isaiah, the suffering servant songs. We hear these all the time as we move towards Holy Week. And those lines, he was oppressed, he was afflicted, yet he didn't open his mouth. Like a lamb that is led to the slaughter, he didn't open his mouth. And they made his grave with the wicked, but with the rich at his death, because he had done no violence. Now, that's the entombment of Jesus. And then the one that's probably best known, I gave my back to those who struck me, my cheeks to those who pulled out my beard. I didn't hide my face from insult and spitting. So, yes, the suffering servant Psalms. And then, of course, from Exodus, how do we understand the Last Supper without the Exodus background, the Passover background? And my favorite is actually Zechariah, the book of Zechariah, hardly ever looked at. I will strike the shepherd, the sheep shall be scattered, the flight of the disciples. And the other part, the death of Judas. I said to them, if it seems right to you, give me my wages, but if not, keep them. So they weighed out my wages, 30 shekels of silver. That's familiar. Then the Lord said to me, throw it into the treasury, and this lowly price at which I was valued by them. So I took the 30 shekels of silver and I threw them into the treasury in the house of the Lord. Well, we heard that. And isn't it so interesting that the way that the death of Jesus is not only, it's interpreted in the way of the scriptures.
Is it in all gospels? Because we've had in the past, we heard that Matthew always referred to according to the scriptures.
Right across them all, because they knew their Old Testament. And that's where we have to really do our work in order to see the fulfillment of the scriptures and the way the individual writer interprets the death of Jesus.
What about the death of Judas? You said, cursed be the person, the man who hung from the tree.
Yes.
Is that a reason maybe why in one gospel Judas killed himself by hanging from the tree?
I think that's a particular case, but it's the main reference, of course, is to the person of Jesus. The cross is seen as the tree, and the curse, the one who is struck. But then again, you cannot leave the body on the cross, otherwise it would violate the land and it would taint the Passover.
And you mentioned the other day that it was also the cross was considered as not ripe for not mature for burning. It was still green. Is that right?
The forest, if they do this when the wood is green, the innocent Jesus being executed, then what about the guilty, the dry wood? And that, of course, is the terrible tragedy of the year 70 with the destruction of Jerusalem and the horrendous crucifixions that went on of people, the death of the innocent, Jesus himself.
Out there, heroic peace is calling. In the bonds of love we meet. For the world, a new day dawning and shine.